All right. Mandala offering. Good evening, everyone. Guru Rana Sanji Chodan Sogi Chonan La Chancho Badu Dami Kyasuchi Dagi Chushi Gibe Sonan Jola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chodan Sogi Chonan La Chancho Badu Dami Kyasuchi Dagi Chushi Gibe Sonan Jola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chodan Sogi Chonan La Chancho Badu Dami Kyasuchi Dagi Chushi Gibe Sonan Jola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Kangi Tuzi Nizone Tawa Tamji Bambi Shere Tambi Chun Denze Kwadam De La Chanze Lo. Good evening, everyone. I don't know. Della Neci la Momo Signore. Della Momo Signore. Momo. Yeah, let's see who Momo is. I think that the camera should be on. Let's see. All right. That's the cousin on the Javi number soon, Tolia. Any modern door to George. Cheros, Tinza, and Keranzoya, Javi number soon. Javi number soon Shagoya. Number soon in Mashava. And then any Nona Majigi, but Chidam, Junze Mambuya, Tinji Tolia, Tobato, Susan Yovena, and Tobati, any Narochisra. So, continuing on from the previous week, let's just start off with looking at the three objects of refuge. So, these are the three refuges. If you have any doubts with respect to why three are needed, what will be the case if we'll have less than that? Why do we need
those three. If you have any such doubts, then you're welcome to bring them up. If you have any questions, you guys at home or you people here, any doubts with respect to that?
I guess a doubt that comes up that really, sometimes they say there's four, the guru, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And I think that can come confusing for people when there is four.
Lama.
Lama Sangi Naya Tsugoros, Surdango Maros.
No. So when we sometimes speak of four objects of refuge, so we say I go for refuge to the Guru, I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. The Guru comes under the umbrella of the Buddha. So, it's not counted separately from the Buddha. You could say that it is included within the Buddha.
Lama Sangi tu gogores, Lama Sangi tu baina, and Buddha lost your mars. Kizil Lama Sangi matu baina, and Buddha Ganslea, Chilla Kaptu and Juliachis, and Gashkatambata, Yomares.
So we speak of Guru is Buddha, right? So we certainly need to be able to view the Guru as Buddha. For without viewing the Guru as Buddha, it'd be hard to receive the entirety of the Buddha's blessing, the 100% of the Buddha's blessing, which we need, right? Because we don't have an opportunity for meeting the Buddha in actuality. So then you might wonder, if we don't have the fortune to meet a Buddha in actuality, does it mean to say that the complete blessings of the Buddha cannot be received? Well, they can through viewing the Buddha, the Guru as Buddha.
Kanzana bena nganzu kyabu number sum shawundi, ani sangi di kyab tembo polaya, ro, pa kushato kyabana, kyab tembo poti sangi shawundi, ani sangi nganzulaya, kyab tenya di nganzulaya, landur ge ne tenya dile lajik, ani kyab tenya chik munduwas, ro. Tinzata sangi sung shabi ge, landur ge ne di, mus nganzulaya, su tengris landi, nganso da dravi chi thama bit number chingi ani lama di gyune ani sanji gi chute nyengor mando ani gyunlam shemba chi zawni ni yomaros ra zawni ni yomaros.
After all, we regard the Buddha as the teacher. Now, in terms of the teacher that teaches us what we need to take up and what needs to cast aside, this is the meaning of the teacher, right? Teaches us what we need to do and what we ought not to do. The one that reveals that directly to us is the one that comes to us in an ordinary aspect, which is the Lama, the Guru. And we listen to those instructions. Otherwise, we'll have no opportunity to receive those instructions with respect to what we need to do and what we ought not to do.
Lama choba, the shogi takwatin goras, Lama chobi namalaya. Pende malun jongi gochigo jitson lamas songodas tirda.
After all, in the Guru Puja, one of the verses refers to the Guru and says, you're the source of all the happiness and benefit, the Venerable Lama, the Venerable Guru.
Oh,
yeah. So Claire is also asking, with respect to the three objects of refuge, the first one is Buddha. So why is it not Buddhas in plural to encompass all the Buddhas? The Kyamne Kunju Sumla Tambo de la Sangye Sigirwa. Sangye se di Nangyun Tombala Sigirwa, Chesan Chikla Shagirwa, Sangye Chik. Kurangi Sangye Nam. Sangye chung den number so tsama den mashayagi gyumsen kaina skan sena tsama den de shawaina ni sangye yonsun zopa chagiresa
dadi dikirang samzuros madu vigilaya sangye shayor mado dim buddha shagye to chikboresni yomarwas sangye na sangye tam didogoras ro.
Well, it has to do, I think, sometimes with the language, in a sense that Tibetan language doesn't distinguish between singular and plural in a normal conversation way. You can be very specific sometimes if you want to mention that you're speaking about one thing or a few things, but normally you don't have to make it specific. So when Tibetan language speaks of I go for refuge to the Buddha, it can be taken as singular or it can be taken as plural. So when we say that the first object of refuge is Buddha, it could just as well be Buddhas. Yes.
어디를 딘자 다캡 숨 샤고야기 균센조 논들에 캡 템보 보지 땅 니버트 코다스 캡 템보 보기 캡텐 우스 캡 닌치 다 최근조 샤고레스 인자 다 딘지 캡됐다 아니 다 주비알이야 랑귤이야 트리알이야 아니 비기 냠뇽 쟁기 아니 초 딘지질이야 땐 로고야 디다 아니 타 탑람 소직 차건자 아니 겐두군조 저 겐두군조스 라고도스 딘자 다 디숨디 네 망어 먹어봐 뇽나 문디바 아니 산지 최단 겐돈 타운데번 남지 캡소만 나 신기 어디 차도스라.
So we need the three objects of refuge. We need a teacher. Now we regard the teacher as the teacher of refuge. But the teacher, the Buddha or a Buddha, the teacher teaches us the Dhamma, and that is the actual refuge. And then we have the companionship, which are those that are experienced practitioners, those that have developed already an experience of the Dhamma to help us out. This is the company that we keep. So therefore we have three objects of refuge. We need not more than that, but also less than that would be insufficient. As it says, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha are the objects of refuge for those desiring liberation.
다들 딘자 당한주 캡유 군조스 무슨 차비질이야 다 델이야 캡존 남다치 라 다 캡존 남다세 주주디 아니 타직도 되니 이체 장만 용해지 라 타직도 다 드링 아니 지 소소 가를 두고야냐 아니 지 타직도 군조스는야 아니 이체 여바지 여바이나 다디 캡존 남다래šan스 라.
First off, we identify the objects of refuge, and then we need to develop pure refuge. In that, going for refuge needs to be a single-pointed, clean way of going for refuge, which means that in going for refuge, we need to have faith or trust in going for refuge, in the objects of refuge. And if you have that, you have correct refuge or pure refuge.
제 다디 지 이체 남다 용야래야 갈수다 제당 베난 원도진 감도진 바이나 아니 추주 깔래야 아니 대바텔이야 이체 대바텔이야 아니 다음이 대바세다 아니 이체 대바세
So we need to have trust, and it needs to be pure trust. Now, in developing that faith or trusting faith in the objects of refuge, you might wonder what type of trust should it be? What type of faith should it be? In Maitreya's ornament for clear realization, at the explanation of that type of faith, it was said that there are two types of faith. There is clear faith or trusting faith.
대번님 토니 아니 원도진이 체두시 두잘이야 아니 다지존 잠봉공비위 로마스거라 로마시는 지기라 로마래야 아니 지존 잠봉공보래야 아니 다 대바기비 카둘래야 아니 호마직 아니 대비지선 장마다 호마직 아니 추기지선 장마스 리비지선 장친디 아니 종이니 니 카치어로스라
So then Maitreya's ornament for clear realization, when the protector Maitreya spoke of the disciple, that whose mental continuum is to be tamed, he spoke of, we can distinguish between two types of approaches. One is an approach that is based on faith, and we call that person a follower of faith. And the second is a follower of the Dhamma. This is to say, a follower of reasoning, right? So these are the two types of approach: follower of faith or follower of reasoning.
Tinzada Rigbi Jisun Ranchini, any Tabaking in Telea, Numbus, Numbu Jad, any Tabi Jisun Drangin Telea, Ichik Jisun Drangin Telea, Gunsen la Matung in Telea, Ombutukbus Kanji, Omburambi, the Yobaros, Ra.
So then when such distinction is being made with respect to followers of faith or followers of reasoning, it is said that this disciple that is a follower of reasoning is a sharp faculty disciple or follower, whereas the one that follows trust, which means that they just trust, they don't see the reason for a particular belief, they just trust it, is considered to be a follower of Dalya faculty. Dao. Dao? Dao.
Dao.
Dao. Dao.
Yeah,
Dao.
Dao. Dao.
Dao.
Like rice and dal.
No.
No, I'm just joking. Dao. All right.
No.
Yes, Da. Wambo numbo. Mare turbo.
Karsa?
So how do you say?
Dao.
Dao.
And rice. A follower of Dao. Yeah. English is quite this language is pretty complex, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, but those complexities probably exist in all languages. When you train in certain language, each one of them has its own particular complicated area. Also, different people speak a language differently, right? You have those that have very clear pronunciation. Like, for example, Dan, forgot his surname, the one that moved on to Melbourne. He has a very good enunciation. Everything is, all the words are kind of clearly separated, speaks in a precise way. It's very easy to listen to Dan.
Tsultrim getting pe
And of the monastic community here, the one that has the clearest way of speaking is Tsultrim, Kala Tsultrim. She's also a very clear speaker. Now, so Geshe said that in terms of kind of someone speaking and kind of you feel really comfortable in listening to the person, then Tsultrim is number one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I did it. Tinza and Karshu or the Tanda.
There are one number.
Tadar, Ombuno do ni, Tadar, Ombuno do ni chiondi, Ombunumbu di Rigbi Jesudanchi, Ra Rigbi Jesudan, Ginseng Ton, that's Hangi Song Bigi, any Churtelia, Chebachichi, any Ginseng Yana, any Jesun Juk, Ginseng Mena, any Jesu Manju Chingindi, Ombunumbu Tres, Ra.
Anyway, we make such distinction between two types of followers. So we mentioned the first one, which is a sharp faculty follower, which is a follower of reasoning, which means that based on scrutinizing, analyzing the teachings of the Buddha, they would follow a certain position, they would engage a certain position. That person is a sharp faculty person, that person is a follower of reasoning.
Then the shin tebatobala, then Jawarumji the Sora, Ji Netsul Deni Tenshipi, Denji Kowan, Judo Chijing, Temi Tami, Capson Tebat Dance, that D Tebaji Yavaina, and that dot may be Tebasent, dot may be Tebat Yungors, the Yakshuti, that one is in a Goyadi, dot may be Tebat Gogoras, Ranganza Gogoras.
Suggesting Gyar Muchudin Sunday.
J'ai peine de chuter son de meilleur.
Now, in terms of the faith that is developed in the process, it is called an informed faith. Informed faith is faith that is born from knowledge, which is the type of faith that is honest referred to in his text illuminating the threefold faith, which is a praise to the 17 Pandits of the Nalanda monastery, in which he spoke about this faith that understands the basis. What's the rest of the verse? Can't remember. Yeah. Yeah. So understanding the two truths in relation to the reality of the basis, the way of being of the basis. And ascertaining what one needs to engage in, what one needs to discard in relation to the four truths. And with faith as ascertaining the three objects of refuge, this is the type of faith that we want to develop, right? So just putting it all together, Geshe spoke about developing an informed faith through a process of analysis and investigation. So the one that is developed with respect to the basis, the two truths, what we need to engage and what we need to discard in relation to the four truths, and also that faith with respect to ascertaining the three objects of refuge. This is the informed faith that we want to develop. And it is said that this is the type of faith that undertakes the path that proceeds to liberation.
당이 자오름지 송 가주페 망보 쉬어를 가주 년기를 단다이나 자오름지 차들 만체디 이 덴데 쉬진 스타데 거라스 지고라스 아니 장고름 송가 붙이면 송을 있는 나라 게로 치기 따지 아니 쇼카봉아 다 찬장으로지 아니 베티 쉬어를 되는 야가르 그 벤도 따지 아니 조 아니 벤다 오먼주바 오먼주반 반든다와 잡으송 다두수도 세니 지원디게 아니 반든다와 잡아 아니 제르무치 야오르무치 나랑 게르무치 콘주 베기 나 남주 그 짤던당로디 이게 찍바로치 자주치는 이 찍바로 지기도스.
So Geshe spent quite a few years of studying. So not only he spent so many years of studying, but also having come here to Australia, Geshe brought with him quite a few teachings of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So he attended those teachings, many teachings in person in India, but also he has recordings and also books containing teachings of His Holiness Dalai Lama, which he tries to read and study as much as he can, including also, on top of that, teachings composed by Lama Tsongkhapa, right? So volumes of teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa. He studied in the early days in his monastery, the 5 major philosophical systems, teachings of Indian masters, such as the Supplement to the Middle Way by Chandrakirti, So altogether, in looking at those different masters, Chandakirti Lama Tsongkhapa is known as the Dalai Lama, Geshe's teacher, precious teacher, in terms of fully developing and utilizing the powers of one's wisdom. Geshe views all these masters as being exactly the same, right? They enable them to develop the power of wisdom.
tabkel tuji chimba dili temba katin chi ngu su nga zu je chini ka chu shiwa ina ya ta khun namba le song shawa dili laga jik ta suzu tawaji na ta yuwar samgu mudus dili laga jik song shaya si ki yuwar samgu mudus time di tsambala ta di jik lama dili di ta jik sanki ngu su taya la ya jik kale tsao yin mejo chik ro kanga tsao yin mejo ro odindi chag dos da kanji ani song le ta to ba na tini sanji gi song ani pendru gi song le ta to ba tini ma chi geging gi ni ani chod ngo ro chi on di tini shi tini chi rang lama la ya ani sanji ta to ya gi ani kharso ta ringlam chi yung dos ba di to ne tini ani sanji le ya te ba yin do to me ba ani So then
we have those masters, such as the one that Geshe mentioned, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Geshe's precious teacher. So in terms of someone giving you an explanation of the Dharma that came through the teacher, you could say that there is, even if you were to meet the Buddha in actuality, it wouldn't be giving you teachings that are much better than that, higher than that, or that are not found within the teachings that you receive from those spiritual teachers. And therefore, since the teachings of the Buddha, the teacher, the one that was skilled in men, imbued with great compassion, come to us through the spiritual teachers, then it makes sense then that we can see them as being Buddhas in actuality. They are the conduits of the teachings of the Buddha. Therefore, it is a reasonable approach, a reasoned approach to see them as Buddhas in actuality. From them, we receive an introduction to the Dhamma. So when you think about it, you can develop irreversible faith. We have irreversible faith in the Buddha. We have irreversible faith in the Dhamma.
Nidong trugi bayo, pis nidong trure, chichusen da losar gyalaya, ani mulong kalaya, ngimani gyawrum chik takwa chichu chemalaya, kachun ngores, ra kachun nandi ngima bhargab chilaya, gyawrum chik chichu chemala kaduyo na lamram chemu kachun na, ani lot chilaya, ani tanda shine ya dati, 되쳤나 아니 로직을 상동치 못나야 딘디치 나래로 난 거들라 나 게름지 샤우시도 짜지니 아니 지주를 제도 뒤로들이야 상동치 못 가셔나서라 난저 엄마 배시 간좀 찾아와서 딘디지래야 투 니깔래 아니 겨울무지기 딸 상동치 못마다 아니 간에도 송니 아니 건다 쓰요니 게라 뜻이봐 Genka Nanzu Tasalaya, Mitzi Kanzalaya, Chabisi, Chabi Chipping, Sole, and Yaurumuji Dindigi and Zentiki would down, Tuji Tsawainaya, Jung Kanetol Leondi, Yarum Jinajin, Doji made you kind of sing again a shiva, teaching again Giorada, Gang Kawa Dragator, something other, or Didich, any Suzugi, any Yaurumuji. Didich Jigius, Ra.
After the Tibetan New Year, usually His Holiness used to give public teachings, general teachings. So over a few years, His Holiness gave teachings on the Lamrim Chenmo. In 1 year, in those teachings, he emphasized the section of special insight, of calm abiding, shamatha. And the year after that, he emphasized the teachings on Hakton or Vipassana, special insight. So in 2006, Geshe remembers that when he attended those teachings after the prayer festival, after the Tibetan New Year, His Holiness was teaching from the Lama Rinpoche, emphasizing the section of special insight, Vipassana, in which he also drew upon the 8 difficult points according to the middle way consequence school of thought, the Madhyamika Prasang school of thought. And Geshe remembers that one day after the teaching, he was he went back to his room, and he had a conversation with his teacher, and he said, of looking at the way that His Holiness puts across those teachings in a place like Sarah Monastery, where study is done for so many years and people work so hard in developing such a scholastic approach, it seems that no one can match His Holiness in his ability to draw upon this vast and extensive scriptural system and put it across in such a skillful way. No one can match His Holiness. And Geshe's teacher echoed that also. It says that, no one can be a true rival for His Holiness. You cannot find someone like that. At least this is the way that Geshe sees that.
Teridinza namju jawram chigita namju kachu ta pech mimang sole kachu naondi and ta tudi yore ani chigita pena ta chabe ani rimbu din nango jun tan jogo ta an sargo ros tichidi ta kane khaptula ya nenga shu tusula ya tini jawram chig nom gyabchini ani shibjan nang dos ra ani chig lelhasa tusu an jogo lo nine the Jaurumji mixing Jaurumji that Kaso, the Shesamajin Kechuchi, or Dindichiores Ra.
One of the special features of His Holiness the Dalai Lama in his way of giving teachings is that, of course, taking into consideration that His Holiness is a very busy Lama, then when he teaches a certain text, he normally teaches that very quickly, right? So he reads through the text very quickly, but then he has the ability to draw out the difficult point, these essential difficult points, and give an abridged and clear presentation of those difficult points. And through that, being able to cover a text in its entirety in a quick way, but still get into the difficult points. This is one of His Holiness's special features.
Tena se tindigma six tengures dom caption. The dinti calculata dodo corantel yorsra dindich jangolami any song casually dindich yorsra.
Also looking at the scriptural system of Lama Tsongkhapa, right? So he composed quite a few texts, and some of them are quite lengthy. So he presents quite a few arguments, and then at the end he says, therefore, in bringing it into a summary, right? So you see that quite often when you read through Lama Tsongkhapa's presentation, there is a certain argumentation that is being presented, and at the end he draws out a conclusion, or he puts forward a summary of this position. This is something that is also quite special about Lama Tsongkhapa's writing.
And that Shonkari Tigana, Pena Uma Tigana, Parsin Tigana, and Semiko Tigana, Shon Dige, and Dromshi Chansang Jisongin, Nanga Chesa Telia, and Torture Nanchi, Peon Digi, Ma Tsik Dani Chansa Mandrovania, Petit Man, Rosadici, Shong Kok Chansang Logic, landing it, in Nan Daji, Riba Yaga, to so any gangs and Loki Shui out in the any Gagin Shan Cabot Papa in Baji go any ranching tone to yak Dindi any dingy Narang game which and Terra Tanja within its own mess raw or did yours.
So Geshe's teacher taught different we taught different texts in the monastery. So Madhyamika, the perfection system, the Pramana system, the system of valid cognition. And when he taught those different texts, he used to also give a summary of the essential points, draw them out and give a summary of them. And those students, the smart students, those that were kind of doing quite good, excelling in their studies, said that there's something really special about him and his ability to draw upon these complicated points, the essential points in that presentation, and presented in that really accurate and summarized fashion. It seems that it was able to do it in a way that is better than others and help you through the development of your mind, in that kind of you got this really fresh perspective over the text. And Geshe is mentioning that not just for the reason that he was his teacher, he was actually known to have that ability, those qualities, that ability to present the teaching in this way.
Pandin Dawatabe, Umunchuba, Tigim Jawa, and Jeruchi, the Gombarose, they are chick Lokashi, they are Lojuchi, one chick, Piglia chick, huge Mashiva in there, same thing, and Lamana Tigit, same thing, and Gawata, Debayon de Adochik. And so, then it chagados, Gengi, P, Chaviti, Mixiki, and Kechutia, Umi Rigbelam. Semi Rigbelam, Dendeva, and Yawaruchi Naya, Caneto, Piggy, and Semi Riglanda, Umi Canelia, Tugdeva, and Sanji Chomding, Son the tone, that song in Nimbo, that Yetombanalaya, and so the Sherlea took to straw, Sherlea, when the Nientu Salah of the Vijan, Shervich Partition, the Nila Laber Chavos. Chanju Simbi Salah of the Vijan. Shervich Parishman, the Nila Lover Chavos. Sanjay Salah of the Vijan, Shervich Parishman, the Nila Lover Chavos. So that is some of the Casotama, Chu Yuntawichinma, Lady Yudaj, the Susun, the rich Jigdus, their cow, some in Samson. Chingagon is ra.
Geshe himself, he said that he wasn't that smart. Also, he wasn't a very diligent student, and still, when he reflect back upon the teachings that he got from his teacher, particularly during the period where they were studying Chandrakirti's supplement to the Middle Way, in drawing from Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary, this illumination of the thought. So it took a few years to cover this text. And Geshe says that when he looks at the profundity of these teachings, he really developed this faith and joy in the efforts of his teacher. So he was quite skillful in teaching that path of reasoning of the Middle Way system, and also the path of reasoning of the Pramana system, the system of valid cognition. Also, His Honor Siddhanta Lama is very skillful in teaching the difficult points using the path of reasoning of those two systems, the Middle Way system and the Pramana system, the system of valid cognition. And the type of wisdom that one needs to develop in following the system was also sourced or emphasized in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 verses, which says that those that are seeking, or those that are intent on the path of the hearers, should be intent on the development of wisdom through that very sutra, which means through the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 verses. Those who are intent on or seeking the path of bodhisattvas should also rely upon that. Those that are intent on the path of Buddhas, the grounds of Buddhas, should also rely upon that. So through thinking of this type of wisdom that we need to develop, you can really develop joy and a great sense of affinity with following the process for developing that wisdom.
And more training, and it gave you Tigitlia, and it's same thing. That Tevanamda Yonelaya, Junsin to it, Tevat Yonelaya, that and Captain Bobo, Sangi, Sung Shabi, and Chick, and cut the new Sundelia, tea that gondan the Cheva, Jagan Kibi Songre, and Chick Garans Lamanambi Song, a digitalia, and Lojong Chema Tubaino, and Shin Tebatop Sadi, and Galakabu Shushik, Ra, Nanzum Malam Gyal, Chick, and Chobadoji Pu, Chitan the Yago Shore Dinia. 대zam기 아니 신이 대버터버 다 남주 짤된 투세디 소수 인증이 소수 장국도 왔어 소수 장국도 왔어
So we have such introduction to the teaching of the Dharma, and through that we develop pure faith in the teacher of refuge, not only in the teacher of refuge, but also in the commentaries, the commentators in the commentaries that were composed on the basis of the teachings of the Buddha. And without studying the teachings of the Buddha in the great commentaries, it'd be really difficult to develop an informed faith. So we might be focusing on making offerings, saying prayers and so forth. But if we only limit our activities to this, to saying prayers and making offerings and so forth, it'd be really difficult to develop informed faith. For developing informed faith, we need to study.
제 드니 빼는 장고놈 중가와 전부 아니 이 남들 나눠야 장고놈 중가와 전부 아니 지전 잠비 양기 다지 하이 기위신이 송고다 남아카시 하이 기위신이 지전 잠비 양기 난거레스 아니 지전 잠비 양 야지 까메시야디 난주 미다 미투바다기 아니 아니 야 컨디션 마 칼렌 나위기 남트리오레스 이내 지전 잠비 양 무슨 지치니 아니 캐랑기 장쇼 아니 곰쇼 소야 마도베기 아니 제바다 신로야다 톱 레지먼도스 지든 잠비앙기 제로미치 지든 잠비앙 무슨 지온디 지든 잠비앙 캐랑기 장쇼 곰쇼 아니 주바냐네치 소르 마도 셰바키먼도스 라.
So that the great master Lama Tsongkhapa had a special connection with Manjushri. He came to see Manjushri as a deity, as a spiritual teacher, a virtuous friend. So it was a deity virtuous friend of Lama Tsongkhapa. It's just like meeting another teacher in person. So Lama Tsongkhapa had that connection with Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa had that connection with Manjushri, in which he met him in person and was able to have conversations with Manjushri. So Manjushri gave instructions on what he needs to do in order to advance. He said that what you need to do is to study, to do some more reading, and also to meditate. So rather than kind of transmitting something to him, he said that in those face-to-face interactions, the instructions that he gave is study and practice.
데리딘자 단 장원놈 중가버 진비기 지준 잠비에 무슨 제니 까미시온디기 장쇼스 소엔티마도 매바나 난주기 아니 캡템보보 산지 좀 된데 꼭 무슨 제가 있느냐 난줄이야 아니 만나야디 아니 칼럽 디레 마도베게 젠 탑시체 매바디다 난주리비 드투야 저 차고로스라.
That being the case, then we can also deduce, if we think about it in terms of reasoning, that if Manjushri told Lama Tsongkhapa study, then if we were to meet the Buddha in person, in actuality, he would say exactly this. Nothing else but this. He would give us an instruction that we need to study.
아니 저거피 아니 교육 군조선이야 저거피 아니 차세 아니 물론야야 디 아니 다 진람 주의하지 로 샤스야 진람 주의하지 어디 치고라 다진 아니 샤스니 진람 주단디 any Kang Labshaguti, Kang Sonshabi, Labsha di Susugi, Janji, the Lalin Tarsin, Yad Regimoto, Shambatapshiga, Kan Yomaros, Kan Yomaris. Tinzatang Anzugi, that Django, that Django was right.
So we have other things that we do as well. We make offerings, we do prostrations, we say aspirational prayers, and these are all ways of receiving blessings, even to the point where through those blessings we can come to be face to face, to meet in person as certain higher being. But the point is not just to come to see them in person. The point is that so that we can get teaching from them, we can get advice, we can get instructions from them, so that we'll be able to put it into practice, so that we'll be able to study. Nothing else apart from doing that. That emphasizes the importance of study.
Dinza Sangi Song ya, Jangche, Songi Joji Nimbodi, Susu Shini, Tachik Semlaya, Chinlam Juyagi, and that Gochi would the Tanji Lam Chavadana Shingi, and Rangi Lamalaya 2 years. Lami Guni, Carriers Landi, Gilon Carriers Landi, Manzuta Longi Gun, Chiki Gun, and Dombi Gun, Wangi Gun, Samalo. Lami Guni Yongo das. Dindi Itachi Gunum di Mevaina, Kazus Jambaina ya, any Digi Chelum Juxedi, Be Kaguchagosaris, Be Kaguchagosaris, Ratinza, Manzu Namgi, Longun, Chigu, Wang, and Dozo Kitchen was Shujitsa de Guadi, Langa Damasun, Deva Dichagonza, or DJs, Ra.
So we see the Lama as the source of all these blessings, like in the way that we see the Lama in the Guru Puja, Lama Chöpa. So we see the Lama as an instrument for receiving those blessings, because when we consider the different lineages that come to us through the Lama, the transmission lineage, the explanation lineage, the lineage of vows, the lineage of empowerment, all of these come through the Lama, and without the Lama, it would be extremely difficult for us to receive those lineages, right? The transmission, the explanation, the vow, the empowerments. This is therefore the main point in understanding how these blessings and the lineages come to us through the Lamas.
Ani en hardun tichik tensakare digilaya ta longyun chigyun di be masiva kichimu ro be masiva kichimu tsigores kichimu chayores chawadida ngunzimi ton kichimu tsimangores chilolaya ben chige karo jimana an ta ben lama sohrum chigi ani kadduina chik ani long nayan to be kichimu nangados to be masiva and nanga 2 years. The long gunjiyabana, Penanganzo touch, then Jungondo Jedoch. So Sinimatawa Kandichi when the long gun yebitoni, Tembadan, long gun maybe Tony, Tembanimati, and Chelap Zawin Drago Maris, Zawin Drago Maris.
So in Tibetan society, particularly in the great monastic states like Sera Monastery, the continuation of transmission, right? So the lineage of transmission, the lineage of explanation, which is also called the guiding lineage, the guidance lineage, considered to be so important. Now, looking at how it is carried on to our way of engaging with Buddhism, we have, for example, in the West, Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche is of the main people that we rely upon. And how many transmissions do we get from Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche? Right? He gives so many transmissions, lung, they call it in Tibetan lung. So we receive so many transmissions from him, which again emphasizes the importance of receiving a transmission. So for example, consider the following. We could have the lineage for the ornament for clear realization. Or we cannot have the lineage. If we recite this text daily, there would be such a great difference in terms of the blessings that you receive if it is recited with the lineage, or if it were recited without the lineage, it would be a great difference in terms of the blessings.
창상지 비 된다 식 된다 마고나야 아니 식디 아니 창상지 거와이나 아니 롱도 토고레스 로다 치균슈가들 치균슈가들 식 된다디 고고거레스 베나 아니 드니 레다 왕 카둘라야 주디 왕 비마 왕기 초가된 투바 잠지기 왕도 퇴빙 아니 다 니바짜오니 니어마레스 왕기 닷 최고거다 왕기 다 라메마 왕기 닷에 투고거레 아니 범메상이야 닷 최바이나 왕 토고레스
So we spoke about those different lineages, or at least we mentioned them. We mentioned the transmission lineage, the guidance, which means the explanatory lineage. We mentioned also the vow and the empowerment lineages. So in order then to receive the lineage of transmission, you're receiving a certain transmission. First off, you need to have the wish to receive that transmission, but also you need to have faith in the Lama that gives you that transmission, that lung. It is important to have both faith and wish. And when you receive that transmission, that lung, even if you don't understand the words of the transmission, you can still receive it. That's with respect to the lung lineage, the transmission lineage. Now, with respect to the guiding lineage, the explanatory lineage, for that it's important not only that you hear the words, but that you understand it. Otherwise, after all, this is a guidance and explanation that you get from that Lama. So it's important to understand the words. Now, with respect to the lineage of empowerment, when a certain Lama is conferring an empowerment, they're using a certain text as a manual, right? So it's not just enough to be there and for the Lama to recite the text. Also, through conferring an empowerment, the Lama is giving particular indications of what states of mind we as those that attend the empowerment should have. So we need to understand those instructions, the indications, and also to think about them in an appropriate way, without which the empowerment will not be attained.
아니 잠바치용이 지기 라마지기 아니 왕나바이나 아니 만줄이야다 왕 토비야기 제와다마스나 자차 마부슈요레스 라 잠바치 치마뇽이 지기 왕나바이나 왕 잠메인자 that 투마로스 뒷한다 내가마 아니 도말이야 모테마투디 아니 도메기 왕 톱세디 가부슈차고레스 딩은 내가 신고거레스 라
Dans la yonce zopa jama se de lama la shege lama la shege.
Lame.
So then, without having complete study of both sutra and mantra, it is difficult to maintain that the Lama would be able to confer the entirety of the empowerment, like 100% of the empowerment. Suppose that Lama has no prior background in Sutra, in Tantra, and the conferring empowerment. Geshe says that not much can come through such an empowerment. They need to have a basis of Sutra and Tantra.
그래서 저당 기침부 쇼를 달라미 생각다 직감으로다 만에도 딘지기지 아니 롱 아니 쉬야다 돼야 점마도비 아니 숑체모래야 숑체모기 아니 트리균 롱균다 아니 뒤쯤만 본거 원서 단 나니에 카버를야 아니 즉 통에 유뇨멘도 섬섬로 빼는 건 데리 영역이 좀어서 계란선에 숑체모 가르가리기 아니 롱예 아니 즉 뭐저 제품을 즉 제대로 안 가서 하고 그러었어.
So then what is our situation here? Well, it seems that at least sometimes Geshe gets the impression that here people are prone to practices, they like practices such as reciting certain mantras, like the name mantra of a certain lama, or doing refuge recitation, the money mantra recitation, whereas not many are inclined to receive teachings on the great philosophical systems, the great classics, the 5 classics. Like, for example, if you consider how many people here have complete transmissions of the 5 classics, like at least from amongst the monastic community, how many of us have all those lineages? Not many, do we? So have you got the transmissions of all of them? Do you know how many transmissions have you got?
Out of the 5 great classics.
Yeah.
Of incomplete.
Yeah.
Cartoon.
the CMS.
숑체모 제 롱메스.
De casa de longue
CMS.
CMS. De casa de la de Quran laptan de te wa ina ra. Un tongien de cap de todo de chasan yomaresa. Chashima to de yomares.
우먼주범에 더 제메스. 어딘죠? เป็น랑체모메. 랑체모 롱.
So what about Lamrin Chemo? What about de la Lamson Shun Chemo Shagir?
Hindi.
All right. So great classics. We have also short great classics. 3 principal aspects of the path. Foundation of all good qualities. Yeah. So the short ones, you have a few of them, right?
Yeah.
그다 딘자다 당한주 카요 말았어. 뒤치고 고거라서. 이 뒤치고 고거래. 언더서 원래 자니기 템번 진경 빼순 제발이야. 아니 롱균 지균 생인디 메타메지리스 심하로 차고라서.
Yeah, so now of course, with the extensive texts, it's hard to have the lineages of all of them, but we have at least some of the shorter one, the briefer one, of the great philosophical systems, different variations of Lamrim or other texts. So then when we think of the goal that we sometimes set in our mind, we want to hold the teaching, preserve the teaching, and increase the teachings. It's hard to do that without having the lineages to that, right?
제롬 지금 남들이야 아니 걔는 지금 제토바나 단다다 제롬 지금 남들이 창정지 단다 자오름 지금 손규를 계시 투된 진비기 아니 사와지 지금 난치니 인지 토라 지금 된 거래서 디톤이 걔는 지금 제바이나 안 제롬 치기 아니 최규 리수만 지비기 아니 라마 피기 다 지금 롱균 치규 강 여버설이야 뚜치니 아니 쉬어레스라.
So there is a translation of the life story of Lama Tsongkhapa that was a book that has been translated to English. It's by Tupten Jinpa. Is it out already?
Yeah, we have. Oh, yeah.
We have it. Happy days. So Geshe said that when you look at the translation of the biography of Lama Tsongkhapa, you have a full account of the lineages that Lama Tsongkhapa received from different traditions within Tibetan Buddhism, the entire tradition. So the lineages of transmission, the guidance lineages, or the commentary, the explanation lineages, and so forth, you can get a sense of the complete set of lineages that Lama Tsongkhapa was holding.
다 인지도 된사였는데 결혼적 직제도 거래서 직제바이나 되는 원리기에 아니 산지 땜바기 땜비 님보디 아니 제롬 지금 남들 나오는 대응 그랬어.
Since the translation is available to us, we already have the translation, then we can study that. We can read through that and get a sense of how Lama Tsongkhapa had all the essence of the Buddha's teachings.
들디자 산지기 송디 아니 롱균디 슈 티균슈 안디 된라야다 퇴섬 공숨 체치니 아니 최건조 다 깨무 아니 최건조 랑귤의 쭌치니 디 토네 아니 고와당 나송그 둥하게 깨 아니 타와드 탐지킴이 살아야 드로고고라스 다 딘디게 rem바 창상 지지 아니 가서 다시 semlaya ngibo mani bardo telaya gacha gyani gyatan bada chi semi trame yichesedi yonsa koro yo maros yungu maros inda
So then we receive those teachings. So our way of progressing through them would be to receive the transmission lineages, the lineage of explanation, the commentary, and to make a way through study, reflection, and meditation in developing the actual refuge, the Dhamma refuge in our mind stream. And through that, we will proceed along the way that will take us out of samsara and the three miserable states of existence, along the way that leads to the state of liberation and the ground of Buddha, the state of omniscience. So without ascertaining all those different points, the transmissions, the guiding instructions, it will be difficult to develop complete and full trust.
tiri dinza dangan zugi karsorda sangi gi chölaya ka dendun sumlaya ka zusiki jamba cheto di chögi ani rangulaya jamdun namda yongyagi ani chagye yakshu di diton chagores ro diton.
So how do we approach that? Well, in terms of developing pure refuge, the best way to develop pure refuge would be through studying the scriptural collections of the teachings of the Buddha, the three collections, the three Pitakas.
제 겸든 남다 용야디 당한들에 개체슈 증한도 빼 아니면 참말로게 안직 취 야부치 총나서 대한 태과 친구기 취지 냠낸 총나 쌈지니 난준준준지 난주루루지 되는 뒤에 때 뒤치고로 인자 아니 비기 취 장을 갑들이야 즉 라미자니 취신이 장운디 내가 탈투바로지 취기 고래야 슈야기지 아니 내가 탈투바디 겸루강 샤도스 겸루강 샤요스라.
So it is important for us in terms of developing pure refuge. So we practice the Dhamma, we practice the Mahayana Dhamma, and we do that through receiving instructions from a Lama, spiritual teacher. And the final point in receiving teachings from a spiritual teacher, from a Lama, is so that we'll have pure refuge.
람름 님보로디 겸루토니 베나타지 아니 친능기 캬버 제바디 겸주고니 치고 그랬어. 스타 최부터는 소요랬어. 아니 람 가서도 지 맨쪽이 캬버디 아니 샘기고니 치고 그랬어. 다 태바 친비기 람람 로다만도 세디 아니 겸주 심비기다 샘기고니 상기비 추 로다만도디 겸주고니 샤고 그랬어. 어디 소요랬어.
In the essence of the Lamrim, it was stated that the way to distinguish between Buddhists and non-Buddhists, this is to say non-Buddhists are called outsiders and Buddhists are called insiders, is in terms of refuge, right? So refuge is the demarcation between these two. And also the demarcation between the lower parts and the higher parts would be bodhicitta, the generated mind. So refuge is what makes us Buddhist, is that which creates the distinction between Buddhist and non-Buddhist.
Dinzata nganzu pege kyayu konjo sumla ya kyaw sundre la altam kyayu konjo sum pe chik ane tsama ji ane ngoma thena ta dele ya kyamdu namda sedi yoy kormandas right yoy kormandas.
Not been the case then when you think of having pure refuge in your mind, without first of all understanding in a clear and neat way what the three objects of refuge are, there's no way you can have pure refuge.
Dinza kyayu konjo sum ngo shiya ta su gi kyayu konjo sum yakpo ji ngunzi chin dogyo na kyayu konjo sum kari ba ngunzi nang shabi pigi ani shongjile ya dogni ro gyagar kebi shongjile ya dogje ani jangba na ta kyayu konjo sum ngunzi chi tugro ro.
So we need to identify the objects of refuge. We have three objects of refuge. What are they? In order to be able to identify what they are in a precise way, we rely upon the Indian system, the classical Indian system.
Timando nganzu daji ani konda chimbuchi shan mani kolodo shan dindijile ya ani korada gyawti ani chobado phi dede waina ani kyayu konjo sum ngunzi chi gyaji gyadam chi tug maris ro. Timando nganzu ani chö namdan talle maswas ro.
If we do not do that, and we focus on other things, like, for example, create big statues, big prayer wheels and so forth, make offerings in front of them and so forth, without studying those great systems, we won't be able to develop an understanding, or we won't be able to identify what the three objects of refuge are.
Tildeza ani namatsuguta kyayu kunjo sum tolaya sangi chu gindu sing kari imba pigi taji tesanda pigi do da Google sing dinamo chi zuda ngone ani kari ina tengu dos those chi janche ani thoba khangyo badi ani nganzu dele chi pomba na an samalo pengros ro digito ji jan ma mi nganzu chi tagas ma chi roshawana ta tindi do chi anzu lo trugrin ya ani drawers ro.
And there are many sources that you can draw from when you develop your understanding of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, the three objects of refuge. After all, we want to seek an understanding. What we seek is an understanding of what they are. So you can Google them, right? And when you Google the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, you find quite a lot of material online. So you can study that. And then we meet here together and you can raise your doubts. You can ask questions in order to clarify your understanding of the three objects of refuge. And this is what we do here. So Geshe has been here for almost 6 years, and this is what we've been doing all along, right? Have you got any questions?
You always talk about your precious teacher, and it was on this morning that we don't know his name, Geshe. His precious teacher to you. What is his name?
Geshe and Kensur Lobsang Tsering.
Kensur
Lobsang
Tsering.
Lobsang Tsering.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And you know, I think also just in comment on, you know, the reason why we haven't had the lineage that you would have from being in the monastic system is because we're in the West, and it's so new. It's so new. Any stories I hear or I read is that you in the monasteries have a lot. You know, you get a lot of initiations. You got a lot of teachings. You know, you got a lot. We don't have those Lama Zopa is just so kind. You know, there are not so many Tibetan teachers who want to come and teach us crazy Westerners.
Dila Tiara Maresa, Kuran Dila Lungyu Tiyu Dila Sopa Shida Yomarwa, Tadila Nambechu, Numbadendo Chilas Sabaresa. The London than the Yonsu Sopa Tama than the Shugi, rather than the cook up Yamana Twinkian Tayo Maresa. Sovereign Bachekardingi. So this Ranayang in a long time, Yonsu Sopa non tuya Yamana Dubayoyan, the Walla Rakalekabo Peoresa. The Wasana Chigila, Nupchola.
The Pena Nanju Pelaya, Tambu, Nanju Taru Kaltula, and Dili Tungi, Dili Pet and Dab, and Ganjur Joyoras. Tinsandra was na, and Kani in a jig pass or jig, and Zambili Koraja was on the choosing yourself on Koraja Thugora, Lethugora. Let her church in some Lela Veros. In a young Nanzugi, Casa, the Kabugi, Legaching to Tona Matches and Amundu, Tona Chimashiba Wangita, any singing jiggy, that more Martrevi Wangi, and Hardrea Mamu Yungodos, Tramu translation of the Yungodos.
Well, it is true what you said. Still, Geshe said, thinking about it from another perspective. When Buddhism started off in Tibet, when it arrived in Tibet, the favorable conditions that they experienced were much lesser than our favorable conditions, right? So in terms of facilities, conditions, and so forth, we have it so much better than Tibetans back in the day. Like, for example, now in terms of connectivity and accessibility, you know, we can now go around the world in 24 hours, right? So in that sense, things are much more accessible to us. And yet Geshe says that looking at what we're still deficient with, it's hard to come by someone that has a genuine wish to learn everything, you know, to get all the instructions on the philosophical system, you know, let alone getting someone that has the ability to do that, or that knows what they are and being able to introduce it to others. It's so actually rare to find someone that is committed actually to studying and getting the transmission of all of those things.
Shashoki, Yaganima, Nanshu Taron, the Chicks, Shashoki, Jacob Mamu Shuji Nolaya, Nanshu Tarioras, Nayanchi Pearl and Yesambala, Pearl Nanshinki, Ting Sabuji, and Nanshudi, and Lomba Shambalaya, two majors Tongodos. That the courage in the Resla and from near Chesak, damage to Matu Wanki. From near Yawich to Matu Wangi. And non-shooting things of Machavati, Tarangaya took the watch. Tongodos, Ra.
Buddhism made its way from India to, first of all, quite a few Asian countries. But in many of them, Buddhism did not take root in a way that the Buddha teaching remained in a profound and deep way. Maybe you can say that only in the Tibetan system, Buddhism has reached that really deep level and profound understanding. And the reason for that, Geshe reckons, is that in places where study centers were not established, institutions, study centers were not established, people were not able to develop an in-depth understanding of the Buddha's teaching.
And so and Gavjilama Sorumji Kadiri, Konkadan Deni, that's no show Lombalaya, and it's Chuzo Mambujila, Lomir took to Rasra. And Kongambochi Kongalamderi, Tiolaya, Penangazutandi, and Inganzu Delaya, and Lotavalaya, and Zindach Rotuyati, and Mungdaji, Penagi, Kenzurum's again to Sirini, Chin, Kalishu Gan, Lomam Shujley, Kali Jachin, from Sukdastra. But the so Manzugi, and Yesambala, the Supe, any Kandrasi Konepe, Tabshichikon, Junzin Chikoyadi, and Lomban Digi, Chik Sanji Tempi, Zawa Rojalia took the what, Nandin Tongudos, right?
So then looking at our situation here in the West, so particularly here, Kyabje Lama Sovereign Bache came, but not only that, established different centers and established study centers in different places, right? So in some places, the centers are called institute, which implies that it's a center of studying. Or Lama Sovereign Bache established, or under the guidance of Lama Sovereign Bache, there are study programs that are available at centers. And we have teachers that have been sent to different centers. Like, for example, here we had Tsultrim Geshe that has lived here for many years and has worked hard in order to establish the study program and still continue to teach that as years went by. And looking at this center, for example, we still maintain a study program that goes on from one year to the next, which is a way of ensuring that the Buddha Dhamma takes root in a place like that. It will take root through making study available.
These are the Pena, any Gain Digi, Pigitachi, Lunga Yisung Tonipe, any college, any get to Inaya, and Delia, Lunga Yisung Tony, any Lutechini, Zenda Tarkivana, Pena, Kizruchita, get to Nalaya, get to Kashich, Mamut and Jemas, the Kashich, one Tanigi, Nanchugi, Kodo Yongi, Shimpitoni. 아니 밀라야 난중고 주치야들이 통송스 계실라야 타직도 령아 이성 계실라야 땡진 령이 중원의 잔이 약본도 쓰라 안저 딘지지 고고도 쓰다라 안 마도 찍찍려야 다찍 이체다 찍찍려야 팀 내바이나 안 안저 디 경경체 두 말했어.
So the teacher works hard, strives in the work with the body, speech, and mind. And likewise, we as students also need to work hard with our body, speech, and mind in receiving those teachings. So for example, looking at Tsultrim Geshe, who has worked really hard throughout the years, Geshe hasn't met many of his students, but he did meet some of them who were able to give a really good presentation of the essentials of the Buddha Dhamma to others. And that was made possible through entrusting themselves with the body, speech, and mind from the bottom of the heart to Geshe, who was also working very hard in order to make that happen. So there is a good outcome to that. And if you think of how do we want to make Buddhism available in a place like that, well, we want to do it like that, in that if we work hard in conjunction with the teacher working hard, then we can make that happen. That also is dependent upon a sense of trust that we have between one another. Without trusting, without the trust between students and teacher, of course, that will not be possible.
This the Ganzolia, Ganzo Dozna, that Chagin, Chicken, Munguta, Mumagi, any the Gigi, Legaching, how to Zozo that Chick Namasorum, Cardin, Delia, Chagin Samu, the Trioros, Chagin Samu, Naranzu Muni, any sugar to an Nanzupi, Legadamas on the Chesa, Chantanji, Yorvas, and Tutulia, any Pentangan Deleni. And then Lama Sovereign Tsarni and persons ra. Tanda in the Danan Kazinga Gala to dig. Any Lotabala Yongosons, Lontabala Yongosons, the lot that Nazadi Genremada, Jajadam del Pavers, Mamba in the and Jajadam Pavers ra, Pavers, Dinza, and the Pavic of the Leon and the Romachilia, Mick Dance, Jambi Shech, Yovana, and 토니 그러스 디 조사 접장으로서
So we have good conditions here, favorable conditions here. We have teachers, we have staff members, we have Lama Sopa Rinpoche visiting us every once in a while. Lama Sopa Rinpoche visited Chimrezik Institute twice in the last 6 years since the time that Geshe came here to the center. And during the last time that Geshe met Lama Sopa Rinpoche in India, Sopa Rinpoche promised to come and visit us every year. Of course, something came up in between. We have COVID-19 happening at the moment. So Lama Sopa Rinpoche was not able to come and visit us. But when the situation is cleared, Sopa Rinpoche will continue to visit us, just as he promised. So now we have those favorable conditions. And next time when you get to see Lama Sopa Rinpoche, when he comes here, then you can talk to him, you can make some such requests. And Geshe is confident that Sopa Rinpoche would be extremely pleased.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll put the prayers in front of us. The screen. Yudu da lama sangye pugyune do achikyamal pa de sala gopa sho kole shinkanzu bendan dewa malu juwe chenre siwante zingya tsoi shabe side bardo tengyo chi amji jangu gyawe Tenzin kyompe we konso gobonzi chosun kowe le monzu gyu panta sodu shinkandu shabdin sho. Thank you. Good night. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Maybe too soon.
제단 남주 신된디 인구 셀라 갑두마도 쇼기 신된 살고 말했어. 주족고 따따야 됐지. 여기 사고로지야를 just 라샤. 니 기타 의자 트레이 미싱 니 기타 남수가 거야기 안드로지게. 진행들이스 라. 뒤쪽 간지 바이나. 이 먼저 조면스 가디총 간지 거야기스. This is Shuja.
So Geshe got a message from Roger. Now Roger said that it's good to give Rinpoche time to finish his prayers in the morning. Otherwise, if he doesn't do that, it's difficult to get him to finish his prayer later on. So so that it will probably finish his prayers by 9 o'clock in the morning.
So I wrote that.
So Geshe said that what he basically wanted from Lama Sopa Rinpoche is blessings for the garden, so it's not very elaborate. So if we can get that, it's.
So that 9 o'clock makes it what time here for us?
It's 1:15.
1:15.
So Geshe, I also wrote, not Roger,
Claire?
Holly.
Holly.
Claire's on a break till Tuesday.
Yeah.
But Claire, Holly, Peter, everyone.
Yeah.
To say the same thing.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, Kathmandu. Geshe was happy.
I'm happy.
Yes.
And then in a Rosaki, Namju. Nobody choose to go to Shogero. Rosi Shogi Shindinti, Ningun Shilla Kabduman, Sargo Marisa.
Yeah, and he said that normally he doesn't finish his morning prayers before lunch. Kind of when lunch comes, then he finishes his morning prayers.
Whenever lunch is. It'll be our lunch. You'd say, Rinpoche, our lunchtime.
Yeah, whenever.
Our lunchtime.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whenever.
Yeah. So, Geshe wants to, do you need cuts in the morning, 9 a.m. or?
What?
Geshe, you said 9 a.m. for planning.
When?
They asked to meet with,
Manga tanışıyor mutura.
if not necessary.
Kaç kişi dedi. Senin yoksa çık.
So he met you this morning?
Yeah,
So it doesn't need another.
okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll just leave this anyway. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go, yeah, in the Sunday and Saturday into Sunday.
Otherwise known as grandma dumpling.
Okay, thank you, Geshe.
Turn it off.
How are you?
They're running.
Thank you. Good night.
You haven't heard about this spreadsheet?
See you soon.
They're running.
Well, I know she did.
Oh, my God, you do know about it, you just said what?
I don't want to say, there's a lot more stuff to go to.
Well, I just wanted to be able to communicate with whole last Sangha, what you wanted to do. Yeah.
All we need to say is, well, all we need to know is